February the 17th, 2017. Guys, I've been trying to gather as much news as I could from Washington, D.C. We're getting a lot of mainstream reports, and then there's other reports if you dig deep enough to kind of find out what's really going on. And one thing I want to say is that President Trump said he's not going to tell everybody everything he's going to do before he does it, because it defeats the purpose. And I don't know if anyone saw the news conference yesterday, but one of the key factors that I noticed, he said early next week there would be an executive order that would basically override these judges like the Ninth Circuit in California trying to block the protection of the United States through vetting and things like that. So, guys, that's going to be a major deal. Think about that. An executive order overriding that, saying that what they're doing is illegal. And that has implications all the way down to who will be charged with crimes of federal nature. But one thing that we've all talked about for a year and a half is draining of the swamp. And some people are saying, well, it's really not happening. But guys, it really is. And a lot of people are trying to cover it up. But it's coming out, and now you're going to start seeing, over the weekend, Monday, mainstream media start complaining about the swamp draining. But Rex Tillerson, head of the State Department, which was John Kerry's job, and before that Hillary Clinton's, has stepped in. And let me read this report. It says, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has reassigned. Check this out. This is after the leaks. And this has to do with entrenched politicians, many who were not elected that were appointed from the old guard. Some call it a shadow or deep or dark government. So Secretary of State, again, Rex Tillerson reassigned a majority of the staff meant to work most closely with the top U.S. diplomat in what career officials at the State Department fear is the start of a major reorganization. That reorganization is called draining the swamp. Very simple, very clear. There's a stagnant swamp of people in D.C. that have been paid off and that have sold off our government and sold out the United States people. The news sent shockwaves through the agency and has left career officials on edge, in part because of its abrupt nature, taking place before their assignments end this summer and replacements have been found. When you start leaking information out and betraying the President of the United States because of your pre-appointed position, what do you think is going to happen? There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new majority of people in the United States that give a damn about this country. You're going to have to suck it up and get over it. It says and in part because these officials help the secretary, a government novice, they say, work with policy experts throughout the building. Guys, this guy's no novice. He negotiates major contracts around the planet, and he's always done it from the ground up. He worked his way up, and he made major deals for his company and for his stockholders. Now he's working for the American people. But the mainstream media and the people that backed them up were so bent on hell-bound destruction of this nation that they can't deal with it. But while Tillerson was on his first overseas trip at the G20 in Bonn, Germany, his aides told the entire staff in the offices of the Deputy Secretary of State for Management and Resources and the State Department counselor that their current assignments were prematurely coming to an end, according to the senior aides. Drain the swamp. This is where it starts, guys. We're still within the first 30 days of a new president. Major things are happening. What else? As far as the swamp drain, let's look at Alabama Senator now, the replacement for Loretta Lynch, Jeff Sessions. It says, with the ascension of former Senator Jeff Sessions to Attorney General and several of his former staff installed at the White House and federal agencies, immigration policy experts are sensing a sea change in Washington. Yep, it's going to change. The swamp's going to get a lot drier. Advocates and policy staff of both parties have jokingly referred to it as the Sessions cabal. that has now found power in President Donald Trump's Washington, a group that for years has found itself outside the mainstream on immigration policy in D.C. and faced ire from the Republican and Democrat colleagues for what one sparring partner called strident positions. Yeah, they were called nationalists. We've all been called that because we need to protect this nation. So there is one strong nation left for the world to look at, to turn to for help. As the senator from Alabama, Sessions, and his staff regularly assigned with the staff of our Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, the Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Think about that. You got the head attorney, Senate Judiciary Committee chief, and the staff of House Judiciary Chairman Bob Goodlatte, a Republican from Virginia. Those officers were all key allies of groups that advocate restricting legal and illegal immigration, including the Federation for American Immigration Reform, FAIR. So again, guys, the swamp draining is occurring. The mainstream doesn't really like to report about it much unless they can find some way to use it as an attack method or reason to attack, which seems to be everything that comes out of the White House at this time. But between this and what we're seeing, guys, through Homeland Security and ICE, a lot of things are changing. Miami announced today, the first major city, that they would no longer declare sanctuary status. They needed the federal funding. And guys, you think that's cruel? What is federal funding? It's money that comes out of our pockets as we pay incredibly high federal taxes that we can't spend on our kids and grandkids because we're doing it for someone else. And the previous administration was allowing this to happen, to bring this nation to its knees, to destroy the last bastion of power in the world. Well, guys, just keep your heads up because it's not over, but we're seeing strong moves occurring in D.C. People are leaving, people are in panic, and they needed to be. They've been so dishonest and so anti-American in their views, and they were planted there for those reasons, and now they're out. And I bet you guys that before this year's out, you're going to see major indictments for some of these people that have betrayed this nation. Anyway, this is my State of the Nation for tonight. It's a heads up. Be safe.